Well, hello there and welcome to my workshop. Now in this series I'm building the iconic Telecaster out of scraps of wood and bits and pieces that I found around the workshop. I'm using an old scaffolding board for the body, an old windowsill for the neck. I found some galvanised steel which I think will make a great bridge, and some odd bits of metal that will make saddles. This is going to be an exciting project, so I do hope you'll join me. Now then, I've got to own up, I've been doing a bit of work on this guitar because it's been a couple of days since I was out here with the camera, but I couldn't resist getting these stains on the body just to see how it was going to look. Now you may remember that I had a bit of a problem artistically in the last episode with a bit of a clash between my pick guard and the colour of the body. Doesn't do anything whatsoever. So Carolyn came up with an idea, and that is to use a dark stain on the wood of the body, something like this. And now this is a mixture of a water-based black with a spirit-based brown. So I've done something about it, and this is what I've got. And I have to say I'm really thrilled with this because that pick guard now and the fretboard is really popping out from this guitar. But I've still got the grain in from that wood, that scaffolding board that I'm using. So I'm really pleased with the way this is working. And I've actually darkened the top of the headstock as well because I want my little mermaid to show up, and she wasn't going to show up with a lighter wood. But no, this guitar's really looking good now. I'm really enjoying this project. It's amazing. There's none of the complexities of trying to build a hollow body guitar. So what's next? Well, somebody commented on the last video that my bridge looks a bit wobbly, and yeah, sure enough it does, because it's very thin. It's not very thick metal at all. But I intend to solve that problem, and also solve the problem of the hole being too big by putting some wood underneath it and gluing it onto the wood. And I think that this piece of cherry is going to do the job, because I think it'll look quite nice with that. So the idea is to create an outline round the bridge, so you do see the cherry there. And I think I'm also going to do an outline around this control plate as well. So let's get on with that. Right, I've marked an area which is about 5mm wider than the actual bridge plate itself, all the way round. So I'm going to try and cut it out with a knife if I can, because it's not too thick, this wood. We'll see. There we go. Right, I'm going to glue these in place with some epoxy, and then I'm going to cut out the holes, etc., that we need to cut out. So let's get some on here. Well, it's a new day in the workshop. Now, yesterday I glued the wood on the back of the bridge, on the back of this plate here for the controls. I used a slow drying epoxy and it's been about 12 hours, so it's not quite dry, but that means I can scrape off any excess that's appeared on the wood there. So I'm going to get on with that with a knife blade. I also polished up the saddles for the bridge and they're looking pretty smart, so I'm really pleased with those. And today I want to put the finish on the body of the guitar. Right, well, I'm using what I've got, and I've got this Mohawk Hydro Gold lacquer which I've used on a few guitars in the past, and it's given me quite a nice sort of sheen, not too much of a gloss, and it's what I want for this guitar. I was hoping to use some two-part epoxy, but unfortunately the hardener's just gone completely hard. I also treated myself a while back to a really nice soft brush, so I'm actually going to brush this on. I made the silly mistake of shaking the tin. That's going to create a nice pattern on the guitar, isn't it? So I think I'm going to try and decant some of this and let it settle. Well, so much for using a new brush. I ended up pulling hairs off the top of the guitar. Oh, I think it's okay anyway. So let's just scrape this glue off this wood. Well, I'm doing a bit of a mixture of stuff today. I've put some oil on the scratch plate. I've been varnishing or lacquering the body. I have been putting some oil on the back of this neck. It's now dry. I think I'm going to do the fretting now, and I'm not going to film this because I did a whole video on how I fret, and so I shall put a link to it in the description and probably up there somewhere. But I will see you once I've done it. Okay, I've wired up the switches and the pots. So basically this is the volume control, this is the tone control, and this is the Les Paul style switch. So when I've got it on the neck pickup, I'm connected to the neck pickup. Middle position, it's connected. That's the bridge pickup. So let's find the bridge pickup. Here it is. Sure enough, that's connected. Both connected. And now the neck's connected. Good. Okay, so that's all ready to go. Right, well, it's been a busy day today, although I haven't filmed it all. I've put the frets in. I've put about 6 or 7 coats of lacquer on the body, and oiled up the neck and oiled up the pick guard. I now just need to leave it to cure, and then I can start to assemble it all. Still got quite a bit to do, but I'm going to come back and do that another day. Right, well, I'm back in the workshop and I'm going to fit the bridge, the nut, and drill the holes for the tuning pegs. So for the bridge I need to re-drill these string holes, and I need to put a mark in the body, so I think I'm going to do that with the 3mm drill that I drilled the original holes with. Probably not with the hammer on. I'm going to have to drill some fixing holes as well. But let's concentrate on the string holes first. Now, I've managed to find some string ferrules, which I'd obviously bought ages ago for something else. But that'll be quite nice on the other underside. So, unfortunately, this won't fit in the pillar drill. So I'm going to have to try and drill a hole straight down using this little guide. So I'm going to drill 3mm down, and then I'll have to open it up for these ferrules. So we'll see what we need to do. Let's drill the holes first. I'm going in with a 6mm drill to about 6mm deep, and I'm just going to go backwards. It's gone backwards to start off and then went the right way. Now I'm just going to do a little countersink on the top. Right, here we go. Got some holes in that bridge plate there, so I just need to line the string holes up. They look pretty good. In fact, what I'll do, I'll stick a 3mm bit in one of them in there, so that's registered in the right place. Excellent. Now then, I need to mark where these holes are, and I've done a 4.5mm hole, so I need to make sure I get the middle of it. I've had to do a bit of jiggery poker and swap out these screws for countersunk screws and countersink them into the top of the bridge, because yeah, otherwise they get in the way of the saddle. I need to make a slightly deeper groove for the string, so I'm using this triangle file to do that. It's a little bit fiddly. Okay, that looks all right. I found an old string and I've threaded that through on the E string, and if I pull that up to about where it's going to go through the nut, it looks like it's okay all the way down. So I'm going to have to try that on the top E string, but it's looking promising, so I think I can move on to the nut. I've got 7 holes, which I think will do the job, and well, let's just drill them. I'm going to drill a 3mm pilot hole because I don't want the screws to bind too much. Should do the job. And I'm just going to fix it on temporarily with a couple of screws. I've got, unfortunately, got various size screws, but can't really help that. It is a scraps caster build. Right, that'll just keep everything down for me. Right, I'm going to use this nut that I've already got. I don't know where it's from. It's probably an old guitar. So I'm going to use that on this guitar. And I'm just going to mark at the back of it, which you probably can't see now because my fingers are in the way. This nut will actually sit within the binding. So that's going to be interesting. I've got it in the slot and it's quite tight, but just check where the string holes need to be. Just pull that out and have a look. I think I'm okay. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to have to make some adjustments, but I can do that in the slots themselves. So let's get this glued in. Just done a quick check with a couple of strings. I put it's effectively a D string in, but if I follow the line, it looks like it's going to be spot on the tuner there, and the bass E string is going to do the same. So that's the top E and the bass E. So I've got my jig, my template, I should say, clamped down. I'm going to drill a pilot hole. I forced a bit on the last build I did, and I found that it was quite successful, so I'm going to go in halfway from the top and then come through from the back. I've had to carve out a bit of the neck there just for that one to fit in properly, but seems to be fitting okay now. So let's get these in. So we've got this plastic cover on that one. And these tuners were kindly supplied by Daniel at Devil & Sons. Thank you very much, Daniel, for helping me out with this. They're tuners from an old guitar, probably a Strat or something like that. I didn't want new tuners, I just wanted something that would go in with the general look of the scraps caster I'm making, sorry. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I now have a 2-string Telecaster guitar, and I think, as was it a Meatloaf song, you know, 2 out of 6 ain't bad. You may notice that I have not levelled these frets, and that's because I like to put the strings on and see where the buzzes occur, and I'm getting buzzing down the bottom on this top, what is a D string at the moment. So I need to work on that. But otherwise, they're pretty good. I have to be honest with you, I can see there is a problem down there. So I'm going to get that sorted, and then just give them a quick polish. I think the next thing I need to do is get all the electrics into this guitar. So I hope you hang around. Go and get yourself a cup of tea, because we're going to be a little while longer. Okay, so I've established that the frets are pretty good, but what I'm going to do is just double check them with a rocker and then polish the frets up. And I've put some tape on the fretboard because it is a light wood and I don't really want to stain it. So there was a bit of a raised area there. I've just filed that down, and now I'm just going to work down these frets just to find any high spots. I really don't want to take too much off, so you know, I may get a bit of rocking anyway. As long as it's just very slight, I'm okay with that. Right, I've checked them all out with the rocker, and now I'm just going to go over it with some 600 grit. Yeah, I know I have not re-crowned the ones that I've slightly flattened on the top, and do you know what? I'm not going to. I don't find it makes an awful lot of difference, and I know the guitar builders of this world will be hanging their heads in shame at what I'm doing, but to be honest with you, especially if you're a beginner, you know, don't go overboard. Your guitar is going to play fine, I can tell you that now. I've got some 1200 grit on this one. Let's just wipe that off and see if we can get a shine. And then I'll just polish it with the Dremel. Right, before I can do the electrics, I need a cover for the jack socket, and I've just made myself a little cardboard template. Now I'm just going to cut it out of this thin piece of aluminium. Well, the thunderstorm that has been promising to arrive for a while has finally arrived, and it's chucking it down with rain and rumbling. But so I have produced this little plate. It's not one of my best. You've probably seen these things before. Just a quick tip: when you're drilling out that centre hole, make sure you drill the side holes first, because then you've got something to hold the thing rigid with. Right, that'll do me. Well, it's another day in the workshop, and a sunny one at that. Thank goodness that thunderstorm's gone. And I'm going to continue getting this guitar wired up. Now, I've had to do a bit of fiddling with a knife just to clear off some of the lacquer that I've put on, because it's quite thick and it was stopping this control plate going in. I mean, it's really tight in there, but now it does fit. That's nicely seated in there. I'm going to have to put a bit of lacquer on this wood, because I've rubbed off all the oil, but I'll sort that out afterwards. Now, before I put the pickups in, you'll notice they've got these rather sparkly black and grey covers. Now then, when I got them from Daniel, they had white covers on, and I'd asked him for white covers. But I was searching around in my sort of paint store, and I do tend to pick up these paints when I see them cheap, particularly. So I've got a black paint there, black plastic paint. I got this one which is a gunmetal grey metallic finish, and I've got this one here which I found, which is a glitter silver glossy paint which we put on like Christmas decorations. So I gave it a coat of black. I then sprayed it really lightly with some of this gunmetal paint, and then finally finished off with a few of these sparkles, and ended up with this. Now, it's going to wear off, and in a way that's ideal, because that's what I want it to do, but it'll wear off naturally. I've already scratched a little bit there, but I thought they looked really nice, and I think they'll go with this guitar. But of course, before I do that, I've actually got to drill the holes for the pickups. It would have been a really good idea to have done this before I put it all on the top of the guitar. Okay, after a bit more toing and froing, I've ended up taking everything off the top here, putting the pickups into place, and so I've got that one in there, and the bridge in the bridge. I've got a wire poked down there, and that's to earth the bridge. I'm hoping that's going to work. So let's see if we can get all of this back into the slot where it should be. A little bit of a fiddle this. Get those wires in there, get that wire into there. I'm hoping that that's going to be thin enough not to make an impact on the bridge. I think it will be. Okay, let's get that screwed down. Okay, just discovered that I wired the tone knob round the wrong way. Now I get the nice sharp tone on that end and I can roll off the tone backwards. So that's working now. Just got to get this back into the cavity. Okay, so a couple of screws to hold that down and I think we'll get the strings on it. Before I put the strings on, I've got two things I need to do. One is make a truss rod cover, and I've just cut this out of a piece of cherry that I had. I just need to bend it slightly to match the top of the headstock there, which is why I've got my gloves on and my long sleeves on so I don't burn my arm like I've done in the past. That's done the job. Magic. Now I've got my little mermaid to put on as well. Now this time it's very thin aluminium. I'm just going to glue her on top. Plonk her down. I'm trying not to stick my fingers to it. Okay, I'll get the side dots in now. Found a couple of odd strap holders, so I think these will do. I have the side dots in. I have my little mermaid logo on the headstock. I have the strap buttons screwed in. So now it's time to put the strings on, and I found this really old set of strings. They are new, but they've got a bit of rust on them, and I think it'll just go with the rustic nature of this guitar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just as the rain starts pouring down again, I seem to have got myself a Telecaster. And, well, I'm really pleased with it. I mean, it's got a body made out of an old scaffolding board that's been in the garden as a walkway for about 5 years. I've got a neck, which was an old windowsill. The bridge is made from galvanised metal, which came from my daughter's garden, and we've no idea what that was. And the saddles are made from a little router guide that I had. So yeah, it's all coming together. I've got my patchwork quilt of a pick guard, which is looking really nice now against the dark wood, and I have to say I'm quite happy now with the gloss finish that I got. I wasn't sort of expecting quite such a glossy finish, but yeah, no, I'm happy with that. And well, it sounds pretty good too. So I've got it on the bridge pickup. I've got it dialed into my amp here. There's no reverb or anything like that. Just a little bit of gain on it. Here we go. So that's the bridge. Now the neck. Which is quite nice sort of soft tones. And the two together. Ooh, it sounds pretty good. And I will do a sort of a proper demo of this guitar. But yeah. Does sound nice. And I've got the tone control here so I can roll it off. Now I've spent quite a while getting it all tuned up, and it's going to drop out of tune, I know that, and I've also been adjusting the saddles to get the intonation right, and it sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, excellent. Right, now then, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this has given you the inspiration and the push to go up and make yourself an electric guitar. And there's no doubt about it, the Telecaster is a fantastic guitar to start with. And you know, if you're not confident cutting the wood, go and get yourself a Telecaster kit, because yeah, you'll have a lot of fun putting it together. If you are making it yourself, the one thing I would recommend making, now you don't need to make templates, but I would recommend making this template, and this is a neck template. Goes the full length, the full scale length, so you've got the bridge at one end and you've got the nut at the other, because fundamentally that's the most important thing about the guitar, getting that scale length right, and this template really does help you do that. Anyway, please follow along with the Guitar Builders Collective Jürgen Zoller challenge this year, which is to build a guitar from timber that you can get from a DIY store. And I'm going to put all the links to the Guitar Builders Collective and to the Guitar Builders podcast and to the Luthier's Lunch Break, which Daniel from Devil & Sons puts out every month, because we're going to be featuring lots of guitars in all of those series. I'm going to take a bit of a break now because I've got some DIY stuff to do. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this series, and I'm so grateful for you hanging along right to the end. Please don't forget to leave a comment. Please hit subscribe, and well, I will be seeing you in the not too distant future to build another project. In the meantime, you stay safe. Cheers.